Hello once again, my beauties and bees, and welcome back to another installment of Cryptic Corner, where we explore the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal and hidden, the alien, the accursed, the forbidden. And I am your host, Miss Bumblebee, and hopefully you are having a lovely morning. It is October 12th, 9:48 right now. We are in the depths, in the darkest depths of spooky season. I always considered October 13th to be the official peak of of spooky season, right? Just because the 13th, because sometimes there's a Friday the 13th on that day, and then you have a Friday the 13th and Halloween in the same month, and it can be spooky as hell. But when it comes to spooky stuff, I'm a Halloween bitch, as Dr. Ben likes to call me. I love spooky stuff. I love horror and scary stuff. And last week we did spooky, scary stuff. We did ghost caught on CCTV. Some of them were more convincing than others, and some of it was really great wire work. So power to you. Today's a little something different, though. Today we're going to go down the folklore path, because I do want to explore a ghostly phenomena. And today we're going to focus just in the U.S. I did find plenty of examples of this from around the world. Now, we've covered man-eating trees before. We have talked about them. We've discussed well, I had the one that Mark did the intro for. Actually, let me see if I can play that real quick. I'm going to play the wrong one for just a second, but then I'll switch it over.
From the top of the tree sprout long, hairy green tendrils and a set of tentacles constantly and vigorously in motion, with a subtle, sinuous, silent throbbing against the air. The slender, delicate palpi, with the fury of starved serpents, quivered a moment overhead, then as if by instinct, with demonic intelligence, fastened upon her in sudden coils round and round her neck and arms. Then, while her awful screams and yet more awful laughter rose wildly to be instantly strangled down again into a gurgling moan, the tendrils, one after another, like great green serpents, with brutal energy and infernal rapidity, rose, retracted themselves, and wrapped her about in fold after fold, ever tightening with cruel swiftness and savage tenacity of anacondas fastening upon their prey.
All right, yeah. So that was I had Mark read about that. That was the Madagascar man-eating tree, Yativo, I believe is the way that it was pronounced. Regardless, there is a Mothman statue in West Virginia. Yeah, it is. My son actually got his picture taken there last year. Yep. I went to see the Mothman this summer in West Virginia and put some coin bills in his bottom on the statue. Yeah, he's got a nice, like, from what I understand, he has a very elegant butt crack. The Mothman does. That's his one of his prominent features. We've covered the Mothman before last year at Christmas time, because the Mothman is a Christmas topic to me, because the end of the Mothman, excuse me, the end of the Mothman phenomena, as it took place, the original slew of sightings, it ended on Christmas. With the Silver Bridge collapse, and people are at Christmas time with the Silver Bridge collapse, and it has presents floating down the river as part of the imagery that they like to use. LOL, Bree already went. Well, yeah, the Mothman Museum in Point Pleasant was closed. So it was just the statue that was that was for the photo shoots. But anyway, back on topic, because y'all get me distracted about Mothman, and I go on about Mothman for a million years. I'll tell you right now. But man, I have a little frog in my throat this morning. The man-eating trees, we've covered that. We've talked about it recently, fairly recently. But some trees aren't man-eating. Some trees are just cursed or haunted. So today I thought I would look at some of the US's, the United States. We will do an episode about the European or Eurasian or African. We will have other episodes, just like we do with the giant spiders. We did the African, we did the North American. We're going to have giant spider episodes for each continent too. Don't you worry. But today we are doing haunted trees of North America. So, yeah, let's buckle in for this one, because some of these have some ooh, not there. Some of these have some wild folklore. I hit the wrong button. I don't know why I was doing that. Almost ended the stream. That would have been bad. There we go. All right. So what we are talking about. What we are talking about is these haunted trees right here. The first one that's coming up on the list is the haunted history of the old Louisiana witch tree.
Way down in old Louisville, there's a tree folks around here don't take lightly.
Not old Louisiana, old Louisville. It's in Kentucky.
Gnarled up and twisted like something out of a nightmare. They call it the witch tree. Some say it's cursed. Others reckon it's holding powers older than these hills. One thing's for sure, though.
Question in the comments, isn't Mothman a West Virginia thing? Well, it's on the West Virginia-Kentucky border, right? It's in the mountains, right where the Ohio splits the two states. It's a river town. So Mothman there were sightings on both sides, I'd say. The bridge was crossing the states.
Disrespect this old tree, and you'll find yourself on the wrong side of fate. Folks have been saying for years, them that mess with it don't walk away unscathed. So what's the real tale behind this spooky old tree? Grab a seat, because we're about to dig deep into the strange history of the witch tree of old Louisville.
I think this could be called the witch episode, because the next topic I have for when we get weird with it later on is also going to involve witches. Witches and hurricanes, though, so different gear.
Well, howdy there, folks. Welcome back to the Scary Stories from Kentucky podcast playlist. Right here on the...
Glad to be back. I don't know if I've been here before, but glad to be back regardless.
Kentucky Melody YouTube channel. We're mighty pleased to have you joining us today.
The Hive is happy to be here, sir. We are thrilled to let you tell us about a spooky tree.
Hope y'all are doing just fine, but before...
Well, don't set your standards so damn high, Kentucky Melody. I'm not doing all that well, but we're trying to do a show right now. Let's not get into my personal stuff.
We dive into today's story.
Yeah,
I just want to remind y'all, if you're enjoying these here stories, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a heap, and make sure you...
So some of the trees may have execution histories that we talk about, Sumami. Some of them are haunted. Some of them are cursed. It's kind of a grab bag of behexed trees, I guess we'll call them. And we're going to go look at them on the map, too, because a lot of them are still standing today. Yay. Mothman is primarily known from a bridge collapse over the Ohio River, but sightings have been made around the world before the disaster. Yeah, there's histories of Mothman or Birdman-like creatures from other locations and regions. The Owlman of Menway has similar features. What's the guy with the spade-shaped head? Not the folk monster. It's the... I'll think of it at some point. But yeah, what about the Croatoan tree? Yeah, we're not going to get the Croatoan tree, unfortunately, because I think that's just people trying to add spookiness to history. But maybe we'll talk about Roanoke as a whole thing. We might do some Lost Villages lists too. That would be cool.
Won't miss a single spooky tale we got coming your way. So let me tell you about one of the most mysterious and downright spooky tales to ever come out of old Louisville.
Old Louisville.
This here story's about the witch's tree. a twisted, gnarled old maple that's been standing there longer than most can remember. Now, you see, back in the late 1800s, Louisville.
Brian Stevens, oh my gosh, you speak to my childhood. Yes, Ernest Scared Stupid is part of what inspired this list. Absolutely. Absolutely. The troll tree from Ernest Scared Stupid. And the folklore they tie into it. Eartha fucking Kitt chewing up the scenery as that character. She understood the assignment and she took it to the next level. God, I love Eartha Kitt.
Louisville was a city on the rise, growing fast with new folks settling in every day, building homes and businesses and turning the old town into a bustling hub of activity. But even with all...
I see, if I say it like that, look at the trees. If I say Louisville, I feel like I'm making fun of them. Because my accent, not this Midwestern newscaster accent I'm putting on for you right now, but my natural accent with lots of y'all and ain't and yeah, and I got a lower Midwestern. It's like where the Midwest and the Southern accent mix at the influx the Mississippi and the Missouri River. It's really a melting pot if there ever was one, and that's where my accent, my natural accent, comes from. But it does not include things like Louisville. It does include things like crick instead of creek, wash instead of wash. I've never said wash. I've always hated wash, but that's part of the accent here. There's a few different vernacular stuff. Some of it I can drop, and some of it I can't. Some of it'll pop out if I get emotional. I'm trying to be more comfortable with some of the more endearing ones. I took a long time to stop saying y'all, but I think I'm okay with y'all. I really do. So we'll see if I can break myself with that.
All that progress, there was something dark and strange.
Oh, okay, yeah, dialect, not accent. Okay, exactly. I got a dialect, not an accent. Well, there's a southern accent. Yeah, the different words. Yeah, the way that we pronounce the words, though. I mean,
lurking in the shadows of the city. There was talk about a group of women, witches, some folks called them, who made their home right in the heart of old Louisville. These women weren't the kind to wear pointy hats or ride broomsticks, no sir. They were just regular-looking folk, but they had knowledge of things most people didn't, and that made them feared and respected. Now, at the corner of...
I doubt they were all in their late 20s and early 30s, though, like these women appear to be, because a witch is like a real Grady woman and an Appalachian Grady woman. It takes like I'd say at least 30 years to actually be at a point where you would call yourself or consider yourself a witch. I don't know if there's even any greenie practitioners left, but I always thought those were cool too. There were these Appalachian medicine women, or just old women who lived in the hills and worked basically in place of a doctor or as a supplement to a doctor with natural herbs and stuff like that. Also a lot of woo-woo attached with it, but they did have, I mean, some of the herbal remedies and stuff that were used were like legit, like using real things that you can collect in the wild. But
6th and Park Avenue, there stood a tree, big, old, and twisted, with branches that reached out like the long fingers of an ancient crone. It was said that these women, these witches, would gather under that tree on the darkest nights of the month, when the moon was just a sliver in the sky. They'd light candles, chant incantations, and perform rituals passed down through generations.
And if you know, I'm moving in a month, and if I'm moving to the city of El Paso, and if anybody knows where there's a place where there's a gathering like this in El Paso, I'm down for it. Let's gather the moonlight and drink wine and chant around a tree. I'm here for it.
That tree, they believed, was a powerful place, a spot where the veil between our world and the next was thin as gossamer. Folks in the neighborhood knew better than to go near that tree after dark. They'd whisper amongst themselves about the strange sounds they heard on those nights, low murmurs carried on the wind, shadows moving where none should be. And though no one could ever prove it, there was a feeling in the air, a heaviness that pressed down on you when you walked by that old tree. It was a place of power, a place of fear, and a place where the witches held sway over things most folks didn't dare to understand. That old tree wasn't just any tree.
And now the tree, we're going to look at the actual tree in just a little bit here as soon as this video wraps up. Well, say a little bit. This is a 14-minute video. I'm going to speed him up just a bit because he's got his voice is nice and balanced and everything, but we're just more interested in the story than the delivery right now.
It was the heart of their rituals, a symbol of their connection to the old ways, to the magic that ran deep in the earth. And in a time when the line between superstition and reality was as blurry as a foggy holler, that tree,
Foggy Holler, yep,
became the center of one of the most infamous stories to ever come out of Kentucky. So, sit tight and listen close, because this here's where our tale truly begins. Now, round about 1889, the city was a-fixin' to celebrate May Day with a grand old maypole right there in old Louisville. The city folks, in all their wisdom, decided they'd chop down that witch's tree to use for their pole. They figured a tree's a tree, and what better use for it than to bring folks together for some merrymaking. Well,
yeah, let's make some witches mad. That's the way you celebrate May Day.
When the witches got wind of this, they was madder than a hornet's nest. They begged and pleaded with the city officials, warning them that cutting down that tree would bring about a curse.
Oh, I'm here for it. Cemetery tour. Let's do it, Nikki.
But the city folks, they was too busy with their highfalutin plans to pay heed to a bunch of women folk talking about curses and such. So, they went ahead and chopped down that tree, and let me tell you, them witches didn't take it kindly. They gathered one last time at the stump of their sacred tree, and with a fury born of betrayal, they cast a curse on the city. They said the winds would howl, the sky would darken, and the people of Louisville would pay for their arrogance. Now, let me tell you, it weren't long after that old tree was felled that the skies over Louisville started to darken, and folks began to feel a deep unease settling over the city.
This was hurricane season, or I guess it was this time of year, right? Let's envision as October. Yeah, this is the 18th. I don't remember what year I said it was. This is the 18th or 19th century version of
March 27, 1890, and a day that started off with nothing more than a light breeze soon turned into something straight out of a nightmare. The clouds rolled in, thick and black as coal, and the air grew heavy, with a stillness that made the hair on the back of your neck stand up. Old-timers said they'd never seen the sky look so angry, like it was boiling with some unholy rage. Then, out of nowhere, the wind picked up, screaming and howling like a pack of banshees let loose from the hollers. The tornado hit with a fury that no one had ever seen before, a wrath that seemed almost unnatural, like the hand of something dark and vengeful was at work. It tore through the heart of Louisville, ripping up homes, flattening buildings, and snapping trees like they was toothpicks. The storm cut a path of destruction nearly 10 miles long and a quarter-mile wide, leaving...
Now he's implying that it was a tornado here. Captive Desk, awesome! Jay Pasek, Alex Raven, Robin Webster, Salt of the Red Earth, Thorn Among Roses, welcome to the Hive. Yeah, welcome. Settle yourself right down here in our hive and listen to these captivating tales of old Louisville. Old Louisville, L-U-V-U-L-L. There you go, Louisville.
Even nothing but ruin in its wake. The folks who lived through it said the winds weren't just strong. They were alive, screaming and wailing as they twisted and churned. The sound was something otherworldly, like the very earth was crying out in pain. Windows shattered, roofs were torn clean off, and whole houses were lifted off their foundations, carried away like leaves in a storm. It was as if the tornado had a mind of its own, zeroing in on the city with a vengeance that left no doubt in anyone's mind that this was no ordinary.
Tornadoes do be like that. Sometimes you'll hit your house and leave your neighbors completely unscathed, and people are like, what the fuck did I do?
Storm. Over 70 souls lost their lives that day, and hundreds more were injured. The streets were littered with debris, and the once proud...
Now, see, 100 years earlier than this, these women would have been tried and executed for this.
buildings of Louisville lay in ruins. The devastation was so complete, so total, that folks began to wonder if maybe, just maybe, there was something to that curse the witches had laid down. After all, it was hard to ignore the
Actually, this wouldn't have been hurricane season because they said they were getting ready for May Day, which is what? That's May. Is that May 1st or May Day is May 1st, right? Yeah. So that's tornado season, though. It is tornado season.
coincidence. The storm had struck so soon after the tree was cut down, and with a fury that seemed almost personal. Now, here's where the story takes an even darker turn, one that folks around these parts don't forget easily. You see, as that tornado was ripping through Louisville, with the wind howling like 1,000 tormented souls, something mighty
We have plenty to say about the hurricane and stuff in the next segment of the show, so stick around for that because there's going to be we do explore a conspiracy about that. Not the mainstream one though. I was kind of bored with that. We'll find we got a fun one.
strange happened. Just as the storm reached its peak, a bolt of lightning, bright as the hand of God himself, came crashing down from the heavens and struck the very stump of that felled witch's tree. Witnesses who survived the storm claim they saw it plain as day. That lightning bolt hit the stump with a force like no other, splitting the remaining wood clean in two and sending sparks flying through the air. The ground around it sizzled and smoked, the earth itself charred black as coal. They say the air was thick with the smell of burnt wood and something else, something unnatural, like the very essence of the curse had been unleashed with that strike. But that ain't the end of it. Some folks swore on their lives that in the flash of that lightning they saw something. Figures, ghostly and faint, flickering in the storm's light, like the spirits of the witches themselves had been summoned by the power of the storm.
Wait a second. So did the witches die? Why are they spirits now? Or are they just like astral projecting? Maybe they're like somewhere in their coven, all sitting in a circle like this, and then this is happening.
The whole
But they already did the ritual when they were gathered around the tree stump, so they wouldn't be doing a ritual now, or they shouldn't need to be actively doing a ritual now, where they would be there. Maybe they're just doing an observation ritual of the observation of the damage and then the renewal.
thing was over in an instant, but it left a mark, a powerful reminder that the curse was no idle threat. And wouldn't you know it, out of that very stump, split and scorched as it was, a new sapling began to grow. It pushed its way up from the blackened earth, twisted and gnarled like the tree before it, but with a certain defiance, as if it was born stronger, more determined to stand as a sentinel of the witch's wrath. This new tree, it seemed, had taken root not just in the soil but in the very heart of the legend, growing from the spot where the lightning had struck, a symbol of the power that still lingered in that cursed ground. From that day on, folks didn't just...
So that sounds like part of the tree survived. Like, a bit of it, like, most of it got blown to smithereens, but little sprig of it managed to survive and revitalize itself.
respect that tree. They feared it. They'd pass by with quick steps and hushed voices, some crossing themselves or whispering prayers to ward off the evil they believed was still there. The story of the lightning strike spread just as fast as the tale of the tornado, and together they became part of the same legend, a warning to all who might think they could mess with forces beyond their understanding. And so, the witch's tree stood, not just as a remnant of the past, but as a living reminder that some things are better left alone. Today, the witch's tree still stands in old Louisville, an imposing figure that seems to guard its secrets with an almost eerie patience. The tree has weathered many seasons, its twisted branches now more gnarled and resilient than ever. Locals and visitors alike regard it with a mix of reverence and wariness, acknowledging its place in the city's folklore. People from all walks of life come to see the tree, drawn by the...
Yeah, it pulled a Groot pragmatic crystal, exactly. It rooted itself out of its stump.
tale of its curse and the storm that followed. It's become a kind of pilgrimage site for those intrigued by the supernatural and the curious alike. Around the tree, you'll find a collection of offerings, beads, ribbons, coins, and even handwritten notes.
March 27th, 1890, says Brian Stevens. That's when this tornado hit Louisville.
Folks leave these tokens as a way to pay respects to the past, to appease any lingering spirits, or simply to acknowledge the story that has become part of the local culture.
I like how lumpy
On certain
it is,
nights,
though.
particularly when the weather turns stormy or the wind picks up, you might see more people gathered around the tree. Some come to hold quiet vigils, some to leave their own tokens, and others just to feel the atmosphere of the place. It's not uncommon for people to share their own stories or experiences of the tree, adding to the rich tapestry of legends that surround it. The witch's tree has also become a symbol of the city's resilience and respect for its own history. Local festivals and events sometimes feature
The burrows make it like it's melting, don't they? Like it's
the tree, incorporating its story into the broader narrative of Louisville's heritage. School children learn about it in their history lessons, and it often makes an appearance in local ghost tours and folklore presentations. In the end, the witch's tree stands not just as a piece of living history, but as a testament to the enduring power of local legends and the respect they command. It reminds everyone who sees it that while the past might be dark and mysterious, it is also an integral part of the present, shaping the way we understand.
It could have been hit by lightning, or it could have been, I just was just reading about it, or it could have been torn down by the tornado.
Appreciate the world around us. Well, that wraps up our tale of the witch's tree and the eerie events that followed. Now, I'm curious. Have you ever heard of this story before? What do you think or believe about the legend and the strange happenings around that old tree? We'd love to hear your thoughts and any experiences you might want to share. If you enjoy,
Yeah, they used to make like bowls and stuff out of burls that you could, like serving bowls and stuff, wooden bowls, and they look really cool when they get you cut them in half and polish them up. Anyway, I wanted to show you guys the tree. So, yeah, let's it's Google Map time. Yay, Google Map time. So here's old Louisville. Am I saying it right? I don't want to say it wrong, but I also don't want to sound like I'm making fun of them. There's this intersection right here of Park Avenue and South 6th Street. And here's the witch's tree. And you can drop right down in the street in front of it. And it's right there. It's in the shadowy area, but we're going to see if we can't get a little bit closer by rolling it back a bit. Come on. You're not moving. As I know we can get a closer look than this. Yeah, you can see the burls and stuff through the foliage, but these are probably the tree's kids, I would say. I don't know if that's an oak tree though, is it? They said it was an old oak tree, or is it? Doesn't look like it. Those don't look like oak leaves to me, but this tree's leaves are getting in the way. This tree right here's leaves are getting in the way, so I can't discern what type of leaves it even has. And these trees right here are covered with maybe they're just bushy, I don't know. But yeah. The witch's tree. Can we get a better look at it here? Yeah, you get a better look at its lumpiness. Look how lumpy it is. They still do make bowls out of them, yeah. They're formed around insects or cuts. Yeah, they're or just diseased parts, or where a branch broke off, a burl will form sometimes. Yeah, if you cut it off, it'll form a burl over top of it. If the tree lives long enough, eventually it'll cover that open area up, because they lose water through those open wounds. And it's scar tissue. Yeah, burl is basically tree scar tissue, right? I have a tree twice that thick in my yard. Yeah, this tree isn't really beefy or anything. It's not a huge tree. Doesn't seem to be that old, but I guess that goes with the legend that it's that it just regrew from an older tree. It is gnarled up here though. Look how gnarled it is, which is pretty wicked looking. And I bet in the fall it looks better than it does when it's all green. Probably looks spookier anyway. Wait. Oh, there's a good view of it. Good grief. I was like, what? I know we had a better view of this on Street View earlier. Yeah, you can see how its roots and stuff. Now I can see why it's called the witch's tree, right? Look at this. But that's what happens. Yeah, when a tree regrows after it's been blown over or knocked down, it's all scar tissue that shows that it survived. And you can kind of see here that there's been like more pruning done on it in the past. But man, people hang stuff up high in here, don't they? That's up by the power lines. Oh, I guess they probably throw them up there. There's strings of beads. Like, these are the offerings that they were talking about, I guess. And people throw them up in the branches until they get caught. But I wonder if the people who live here, because it's an apartment complex, ever have any spooky reports about the tree. That'd be cool. Obviously, it's growing into the power lines here and needs to be pruned. This is bad. These branches are dead, too. This is bad for, like, especially, oh, man, I wonder if that survived Helene, because look at that. You can see the wires bending. Louisville, get your bucket truck down there to trim that up. I bet the bucket truck guys are probably scared of the tree. All right, we got more trees to come, though, so the one the city cut is listed as a maple. Did that look like a maple? Yeah, it might be a maple. The leaves are too blurry there to see. Maple leaves are very distinct, though. Maybe I can get a better view of... I can't tell if that's the parasite growing on it or if that's the tree. These will be the tree itself. I don't know. It doesn't look like a maple. It doesn't look like a maple tree to me. It's got an ivy growing on it. All right, let's move on to the next one, though. I don't want to spend too much focus. This is the one that started the whole thing. This next one here, this started my whole journey into looking at haunted trees. All right, so this is the devil tree, and it's in New Jersey.
What's up, gang? Welcome back to another History in Graveyards. Today, I am at the famous evil devil tree. That is it right there. A lot of lore, a lot of stories about this tree, and let's get into it. A lot of people have tried to cut this tree down, burn it, do all sorts of things to it, but to no avail. This tree wants to stay. A lot of people, kids, have tried to spray paint it, fuck with it, do all kinds of burn.
It doesn't look like they tried to spray paint it, they succeeded.
Marks on it up there. Charred marks all down here too. Also, in the summer, I've been here before, and if you see those little holes there, this tree is covered in red ants. Of course, they're red, right? The hell.
Carpenter ants.
So, one of the stories is a farmer killed his entire family and then came here and hung himself at the tree. I'm not sure if that farmer was the Farmer Nick story. There was a story about a guy named Farmer Nick. I think that was him, but I'm not quite sure. But yeah, supposedly he did murder his entire family. I don't think it was here at the tree where he murdered them, but he hung himself here somewhere on this tree. I'm not really sure where. Probably those huge limbs that are cut down now, or you can see where they were cut. The next story is snow never seems to
these limbs right here. Oh, snow. Yeah,
collect around the base of the tree or by the rock over there. I don't know why. I don't know. I guess it's warm, something with the earth, or it could be the portal to hell. Who knows? Now, there have been plenty of attempts.
We're going to look into that in just a second, too. But the rock probably helps with the snow thing.
To try to cut this tree down, burn it, pull it down with a truck. All kinds of things have happened or have been attempted to pull this thing down, and it will not come down. It's a big chunk somebody tried to pull off.
Yeah, that's literally what it comes down to. It's a tree that humans have persecuted over decades.
Cut it down.
But it's doing fine.
Go around it. What's around it? Nothing really.
Looks healthier on that side, though. People leave some rocks and stuff in there. And all this will heal up if everybody leaves it alone. It'll take care of itself.
I wonder what's in the hole. It's a portal to hell. So I've done a couple of investigations here with some friends years back, and we didn't really get anything. I think we got a couple voices with a spirit box, but I don't really think it really panned out to be anything. So personally, I didn't get anything from this tree when I was doing paranormal stuff. But yeah.
I don't think...
Try to find a rock for you.
You can see the rock better in the next video we look at. I think the rock's closer to the tree.
Well, unfortunately, I cannot get through this grass, leaves, and dirt to get to the rock, but there is a rock right here, staring at the tree, right in this area, there's a rock.
Yeah.
and I cannot get to it.
The
Sorry.
cool thing about rocks is they absorb heat and retain it longer than like soil. So
Guys.
that explains the ice thing.
Okay,
and
so
the
now
snow
the
not
claims.
melting.
One, your hands turn black if you touch the tree. You can touch it here and then go home, and somehow your hands are stained black. That's one of the claims. The other claim is if
Let's
you try
see
to take
them
an axe
hands,
to it,
bro.
the axe falls from your hands every time you swing and hit the tree. It just bounces out of your hands. The other one that's kind of ridiculous is there's the guardian.
Clearly, people have been able to cut branches and cut into the trunk of the tree without it.
Of the tree, and if you try to fuck with it or mess with it, a white pickup truck comes out of nowhere and chases you out of the area. Really? So who knows if this is a legit thing or just lore stories? Probably lore stories, but it is a legit tree, obviously. Also, if you guys do plan on coming here, this is a park, so just be respectful of the hours of when you're supposed to be here. I think it closes at dusk, but I'm not sure. Kind of feels weird when you are standing by the tree, just a heaviness in the air, I guess you can say. I mean, a lot of shit happened here, but just feels kind of weird. All right, guys, so that about wraps it up here. If you want to come here, you can find it under Google Maps under the Devil Tree, or just type in the Devil Tree, and you'll see there's a main road right here. There's a little spot.
Next guy goes to it too.
Hey everybody, Sue and April here. We are heading to the Devil's Tree in North Jersey. We've heard all kinds of stories about this thing, like voodoo, devil worshipping, all that kind of fun stuff. And supposedly there's some rocks there that even when it's snowing, the rocks are warm to the touch, even in snow. Supposedly snow doesn't get within 10 feet of the base of this tree neither. And it's not like a tree that has leaves on it which will stop the snow, but it just naturally doesn't do it. So if that's the case, we have lots of snow everywhere. So let's see what we can find. So stay tuned.
Alright, we're not watching your intro thing though.
Somerset, kind of a sign here. First thing we run in.
Alright, I'm gonna go and fill my coffee.
A little swamp trying to get through here first. So we have a sign here. First thing we run into. Park closed half hour after sunset. Violators will be prosecuted. Somerset County Park Commission. So this is the famous Devil Tree. Cannot be cut down because anytime you try to cut it, bad things happen to you. There used to be a chain link fence wrapped around this that apparently the city put in, but as you can tell, it's been removed. And I guess these are the rocks. And there is no snow in that area.
Now, I found a lot of videos of like kids coming around and messing with the tree and trying to climb it, so I get why they put the fence around there temporarily. But here you can actually see the rock, right?
You can actually tell a temperature difference here. And you can see the tree, they have tried to chop on this thing for years. People have been hung from these. This has ties to the KKK.
No, it doesn't.
Has ties to neo-Nazis, all kinds of stuff.
Well, I mean, folklore it does, but like in real life.
Supposedly, if you put something on the tree for one full lunar cycle, you take it off and you put it in somebody's yard, supposedly they have very bad luck. Bad things will happen to them.
See, cursed trees. That's what we're talking about.
A lot of the folklore and everything can be made up, but this tree in particular does have actual history and lots of deaths attached to it, including the field that it sits in. I'll put a link down below of a couple links so you can actually see what the story is with this.
Yeah.
All right, so conclusion is some of what they say about these rocks and the snow. Using a temperature gun, the only thing I can find is a 2-degree difference between those rocks and the actual snow, and the ground around the rocks is the same temperature as the rocks, but I have no idea on that one.
That's just how rocks do. But yeah, when the snow melts, it's going to melt on the rocks first, just like it'll melt on your driveway first.
The tree itself is warmer than the surrounding area, which could be leading why these rocks could be just transferring the heat from the roots. But you can see.
Well, trees are somewhat endothermic too, or mesothermic at least. They do retain a internal temperature naturally.
All the chop marks.
All the burn marks, assholes.
burn marks. They try to burn this thing. They try to chop it down. Which you can see that it has been.
Is New Jersey a stand your ground state? Because this tree stood its fucking ground.
Some of these branches have been cut off by big chainsaws. But yeah, at least we came.
Stop bullying this poor tree. All right. Now we got one in your state, Sumami. We're going heading down to Florida.
Hey guys, here's one of the most famous haunted locations in Florida, called the Devil's Tree. I'm Praveen Mohan, and this is located in Oak Hammock Park in Port St. Lucie. This oak tree is said to be owned by Devil himself, and it's impossible to cut it down.
The devil owns property in Florida? Say it ain't so.
Unlike most urban legends, this tree has a very real story behind it. On January 8, 1971, a cop by the name of Jared John Schaefer finds two teenagers hitchhiking the town. He shows his badge and puts them in the back of his car. Now this guy brings them to this very spot, binds them, tortures them, and hangs them both on one of the branches and kills them. Why on this tree? Because right next to this tree was his home. You can still see the foundation. After killing them, he decapitates them and then starts having sex with their decaying bodies.
Yikes. What a freaking monster. Ugh.
For the next 10 days. Let's read a piece of this news from Ocala Star Banner. The headless bodies were found, and all women were believed to have been sexually assaulted after they were slain. In his house, police found a notebook where he explains how he kills these women. I asked her to put on a blindfold. She was nervous, tied her hands behind her, and put a noose over the head that I put up in the previous afternoon. I would pull the rope up occasionally to hear her beg. This deputy sheriff killed about 34 people before getting caught, and the headless skeletons of these two girls, Colette Goodenough and Barbara Ann Wilcox, were discovered right on.
Sumami, are you familiar with this one? I know you're a true crime junkie, and this is in your neighborhood. Well, not in your neighborhood. It's like across the state, but still.
Underneath here. He had left two ropes hanging from this branch to remember this incident. While he's in jail, this tree becomes famous or infamous. Devil worshippers and supporters of this guy start performing satanic rituals on this tree. People who were walking around were chased away. Now remember, we are talking 1970s, and this was not a park back then. In 1985, a young couple came running out of this trail half naked, claiming there were two hooded peeping toms watching them have fun. In 1992, a group of
watching them have fun. What were they doing? Were people banging under this tree and someone caught them? Is that what happened?
Schoolboys were chased through the woods by the same hooded figures. In 1993, a local pastor erected a cross and performed exorcism on this tree. 9 months later, the cross was pulled out and placed upside down as the Devil's Cross. The legend of the Devil's Tree is now spreading like wildfire. In the year 2000, this place was turned
Where is the cross now?
into a park. Authorities had had enough of these ghost stories, so they decided to cut down the tree. Two men came in with chainsaws, and as soon as they began, both the chainsaws malfunctioned. They got into their trucks and were driving to get more chainsaws when they had a fatal accident. The driver had a piece of the tree's bark in his pocket. This incident has created the legend that if you want to jinx someone...
It didn't really look like chainsaw marks. Go back. At least not anybody who knows how to use a chainsaw. I mean, you can make marks like this with a chainsaw, but it wouldn't be. This wouldn't be how you'd want to go about. Even if this was in the 70s, how you'd want to go about. And I'm saying if this was in the 70s, based on the the healing that you see right here, you can see where it's starting to heal, coming down around here, up across there, and it has some bites out of it. But these are not. They don't look like chainsaw marks to me. And I've spent a bit of time pruning, so I mean I kind of know how you're supposed to use a chainsaw. And if these people were just like that to it, just like they were fencing with it, maybe they could make some marks like this. But that should probably fix it. A priest probably, exactly.
Had a piece of the tree's bark in his pocket. This incident has created the legend that if you want to jinx someone, take a piece of the Devil's Tree and put it in their car.
And that matches up with more of those marks that I'm seeing. Those marks look like people with hunting knives or hatchets chopping off chunks of the tree to use in spell work.
They will have an accident within the next 21 days. All these cut marks are from people who come in with knives and take a piece of Devil's Tree. But be careful, because in 2004, one woman who took a piece of it to put it in her quote-unquote friend's car had an accident as soon as she drove out of the parking lot. So don't ever drive if you take a piece of it. If you visit this place after dark, you might see the apparitions of those girls hanging from trees. If you want to visit this place, walk by the big river and don't take the Oak Trail. Take the second left and you will reach the Devil's Tree right away. I hope you like this video. Check out the other haunted places in my channel.
Alright, so we got 2 trees to look at now because I forgot to look at the Jersey tree. But let's pop out, and first thing we're going to do is go to Jersey. And we're going to look at that Jersey tree. So, traveling across the nation. And I think this is it. The Devil's Tree, yeah. See how close we can get to this one. Oh, we can get right under it. Good. And there's snow on the ground. Look at that. And there's snow around the tree. And there's snow on the rock. The rock being right here. So, go figure. But there is a patch of cleared area around it. But that seems to be the standard for all the trees. So it looks like the snow's melting around the tree bases first. But it is big. And I've seen lots of trees that look like this, you know, big and gnarled and stuff. I think the next one we're not going to be able to get close to. Let's see. Off to Florida we go. Oh, it's 3-dimensional. I like that. Off to Florida. Way down in Florida. No, not South Carolina. Port St. Lucie. Yeah, it's going to be in here. The Devil's Tree. Recently viewed, and I think we'll be hard pressed to see anything. But they have some pictures of it. And there's a little doll on there, like a nun. Look at that. It is pretty big, though. I mean, all things considered. It looks like people like to put dolls on it.
I've done something really foolish, really stupid. I saw these 2 girls hitchhiking, and I wanted to teach them a lesson, show them how dangerous it is. So
this
I
is the
tied
ghost
them up to
tour.
a tree, and I was gonna let them go, but just to teach them a lesson. So Sheriff Crowder was, you know, like,
Why is it so quiet?
promptly fired Schaefer.
Can't barely hear it.
Arrested him for unlawful imprisonment and aggravated assault. He made. I've done something really foolish.
Alright, this is just the other parts of the area that's been attached to this. I don't think we can get down in here to see it, though. Unfortunately, we can't, like, get too close to it. And these places are going to be way too far away, and there's way too many trees to see. I mean, I'll drop down right here so you can see. Like, looking across the water, and there's a whole frickin' forest that's keeping you from being able to see. But if we come in like this, you can kind of get an idea of how dense this area is, and yeah, why it probably is a reasonable place, all things considered, to try to hide a body if you're a psychopath, because there's not a lot of other options. Put it in the woods, of course. Anyway, moving on, because we got more trees to come. We got the oak tree here. Let's see.
Well, good afternoon, adventurers. Elvis Boy here with another episode of Into the Sunset. This was a little bit different. This is actually a little trip that I'm going to take to a place that's supposedly haunted.
Supposedly.
You know, I do kind of like creepy things, so I figure let's venture out to the dark side for one episode and try this out. So there's a story behind this place that's truly horrifying. So I'm going to check it out since it's so close to my house, and I'm going to take you with me. Today we're going to go visit the oak tree. the oak tree. This location has been a popular teen hangout spot for decades. The locals know it as the oak tree. The tree covers some old stone ruins which are now heavily covered in graffiti and refuse, mostly used.
What is it, tree? You are a blade expert. Yeah, trees. Did it look like someone had been chopping it with a chainsaw? I don't think it did. The opposite of the giving tree, the taking tree. You're talking about Brian Stevens, the Jersey tree, huh? It had the spring underneath it, you think?
For drinking and doing drugs, but several bodies have been discovered there as well, going back to the 1980s. The most recent one was found under the tree in a shallow grave on July 15th, 2011. Some visitors claim to see apparitions and hear voices. There are rumors some people have gone there and have never returned.
So, it's kind of funny. This guy's reading straight from this, like verbatim, which is fine. I do that too. But then he goes on to read straight from the comment sections. It reads this section here too, which he'll get to just now. Huh?
The story as to the rubble in the tree itself is one of a woman who had lived up top in the house, and local townsfolk believed her to be a witch, and she very well may have been one. And one day they got a lynch mob together and marched her to the doorstep, drug her out, and hung her in this very tree. And the story tells us with her last breath, she calmly and softly cursed the land, stating her soul will remain in the tree and in the house for all eternity, and the families for centuries to come will suffer dearly for what had been done to her. Could she still be there? A lot of people have seen many strange things and sounds and felt many unexplained things.
So, as you see, he was quoting verbatim from that comment section there, from the report and the comment section. So I imagine that's his main source of the folklore, is that person's comment.
It could be very haunted. See that tree right there? I think that's where we're going.
And we can only get about that close too. If you look, when we go to the Devil's Tree in California, or the oak tree in California, I guess is what it's called. We are. That's not it. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Yeah. Yeah, you can't get close to it. There's the tree. And the closest you can get is to be all the way down this road from it. You can kind of, if we move to the right spot on the road, you can look out and see that's the top of it right there. But you can tell it's a place where teenagers hang out. Because look, backwoods, and there's a penis. There's those 3 Ks together. Of course, edgy boy teenagers. There it is. That's the tree right there. But we can't see it any better than that from Google Maps. So we'll have to let him use his spooky editing software to show it to us. Ooh, spooky. Put a gray and a waveform. I like
Well, this whole area is creepy. Supposedly that's the house where
now this tree
the
does
witch
look
lived.
old and dead. Look at that. That's a car. Someone burned up.
Taking some pictures.
Take the pictures, bro. People having parties out here.
Yeah, so just, I believe it's 2011, they found a body buried shallow over here. And supposedly this property is very haunted. People have heard crying, screaming. Supposedly the witch hanged herself, or the townspeople hung the witch from this very tree.
Well, yeah, California's not
Yikes.
exactly known for its witches, though.
Can't tell you how dark this feels.
Yeah, I found a book about water dowsing when I was in the occult section of the library in my little hometown when I was younger. And I read it, and that's basically what it came down to. It's like the book, when you read it, it tells you where to go with your dowsing rod and like what to look for and stuff. I've never dowsed before, but I know kind of the way it works a bit. But people don't douse anymore. You don't have to have somebody come out and douse for a well.
Wow.
Yeah, look at all the profanity.
So look at this tree. It's magical, mythical.
Now that definitely looks like an oak tree.
There's a pair of tennis shoes hanging from the tree. Ooh, the ground is very soft right here. Looks like an old fireplace. I can feel spots that are colder than
So I
others.
do get some Blair Witch 2 vibes here. Looking at the trees growing and where the foundations are. Like, was the tree growing through the house? Like, how's this work?
Okay, I've got my microphone here.
Someone loves Dick.
Is there anybody here that would like to say something? Go ahead and talk into this little fuzzy
It
ball.
says right on the sign what they want to say, right on that wall.
Perhaps you died here. Perhaps you're the witch that was hung here. What's your name?
Dick. But how's that work? Seriously, I'm looking at the foundation of this house and wondering
You can
how
go ahead and get close to me. It's fine. I'm not afraid of you. What's your name?
Or maybe the house is older than the tree, but that tree looks freaking old.
Okay, I'm gonna come into your house now.
Like, maybe it was low.
Well, I've been to some creepy places, but this kind of takes the cake so far. Oh, and there's stories of people that have come here and never returned.
Well, there's stories like that about like going around junior highs and stuff. But yeah, if there were actually missing children that disappeared at this location, there'd be like police reports and stuff about it. You couldn't reference.
Please, if there's anybody here, say something. Talk into this little fuzzy thing. It's okay. It's okay. We'll both talk into it together. You can come on over, say something. I'll be quiet. What's your name?
Bree. Bree McCune. Oh no, the wind blew.
Ooh.
That proves it.
Got some serious goosebumps.
And he got goosebumps. Vibes. Vibes are the ghost hunter's best friend because you can describe whatever kind of vibes and feelings you want while you're holding your microphone in the dark with the green cam. I know he's not in the dark right now. You can explain the vibes and cold spots and all the stuff you're feeling as you're venturing through this haunted location without having to prove a damn bit of it. It just feels. It feels colder. It feels spooky. It feels like there's a pressure change, you know?
Well, this is Elvis' boyfriend of the sunset. Hopefully, you can spend your time doing something a bit more cheerful. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
This is cheerful for me. This is fun for me. This is enjoyable. So you're not scaring me, pal. You're scaring yourself a bit, it looks like.
Fascinating. You know, I really do love the paranormal. Oh, check this out. Somebody did a little artwork here. That's interesting.
Of all the artwork to point out, that's what.
That'd be a skull.
Well.
The air's so thick here you can feel it.
How are we supposed to take your video seriously when you put sound effects over top of when we're supposed to be listening for something responding? We put video effects when we're supposed to be looking for anomalous stuff happening. How are we supposed to take you seriously as a ghost hunter?
Ooh. Thought I heard footsteps. Hello? Touch my shoulder. Push me, do something. Okay. I thought I just saw something black go behind that tree. You know, you can only take so much. Well, this is a nice car.
Yep.
The oak tree.
Spooking yourself out.
Well, thank you for coming along with me. I don't know if you could feel a little bit of what I was feeling in there by just that whole atmosphere. Wow.
This is in California, so I don't think Spanish moths can thrive too well in California. I think it's too dry.
Oh. Okay, last chance. Come on out. Come on out and say something into this little fuzzy thing.
I'm pretty confident with the live oak ID, but
Definitely have to come back out here at night. Wow. All the trees around here are dead. They must have been burned in the wildfires.
it is an oak. I mean, we know that.
It's funny, pretty much all the vegetation is dead. This tree is thriving. This tree must be hundreds and hundreds of years old.
It's got roots that go pretty dang deep.
I sure can feel an energy in there, though. Okay, well, thank you for joining me. This is Elvis Boy with another episode of Into the Sunset. Thanks for coming along on a creepy evening. Live positive. Embrace the positive things in your life. Cast aside the negative, the bad things, the things that make you feel bad. Live big.
The only problem I have here is that I want these ghost hunters that go out to do this stuff to encourage people not to vandalize or even if they have to use the word desecrate to sell the point, these locations, because as you can see, these organisms, these trees, every single one of them is suffered some level of vandalism, except for arguably the witch's tree with the trinkets hanging from it. But I don't think hanging trinkets is vandalism. But all the rest of them had graffiti and chop marks and people messing with them. So these poor human interaction. All right, this one's not really haunted. I just love the angel oak. I've actually been to this tree.
Angel Oak, a southern live oak, is located at Angel Oak Park, Johns Island, near Charleston, South Carolina. Estimated to be 300 to 400, and some people claim 1,500 years old, this fairyland-esque oak stands 65 feet tall, has a trunk circumference of 25 feet, and shades an area of 17,000 square feet.
Now, when I went here, I was a kid. There wasn't all these posts and stuff around it. There wasn't really anything around it. I think there may have been a big corral fence around the whole area it covers, but you could put a town underneath how far these branches stretched. You could, like a small town, but still, it would cover most of a football field with its spread. But as you can see, a lot of it touches back down to the ground and reabsorbs back into the earth. When I was there, you could actually climb on these. They didn't like regulate you or anything. I mean, I was a kid. I didn't know any, like didn't feel like I was like doing anything bad, but we climbed all over this thing. It was amazing.
Its longest branch is an awe-inspiring 187 feet long. Named after former owners of the property, Justice and Martha Waite Tucker Angel, the name fits it well. You see, local folklore tells of stories of ghosts of enslaved people appearing as angels around and in the tree. Angel Oak is considered to be the largest southern live oak tree east of the Mississippi. She has survived rough weather, including hurricanes, floods, earthquakes, and yes, even human intrusions. Now, with today's tender-loving care, she will continue to thrive so her beauty and her majesty can be enjoyed by people for years to come.
majestic, right? You can see people put like supports and stuff down too. She comes back up out of the ground. What a cool tree. Apparently haunted. 10 times better than the Ewok village. Absolutely. It's gorgeous. It's the Angel Oak. All right, we got... Well, did I have that on the map? I don't even think I had that one on the map. It's near Charleston, though. It's not hard to find. It's in a big national park thing. No, I didn't mark it on the map because Charleston's over here. Right there. But I wonder if I can find it. Angel Oak, Charleston. Yeah, I can get down in here. Heck yeah. We get all down in here around the Angel Oak. Have a look at how. I guess this must have been a drone flying around up in here. Maybe it's on a long selfie stick. Yeah, I think it might have been a selfie stick. That's kind of too close, though. Let's see. Yeah, it's just gorgeous. It's an amazing tree. Yeah, you can see the supports and stuff they put in a little better right there. What's this say? Please do not climb or carve on the tree. Yeah. But again, I was there before they had all this stuff in place. As far as I remember. I hope my parents weren't letting me. Well, I think I was there with my grandparents, actually, but... Anyway, got one more, and this one's a bit different. And I just got to explain this because it's been a recent meme.
If you see this tree, your day is ruined. Money! I'm sorry guys, but I'm about to ruin the joke. So you guys might have seen a video like this pop up on your For You page recently. This is one that I got tagged in where we can see this guy recording this tree with no context whatsoever with one word, help. Upon closer look, this is what the tree looks like, but you might not understand what's going on here. Well, this video was recorded in part due to a meme that's been going around lately, known as the lepidodendron meme. This image has been bouncing around on the internet for the past few days saying, attention, have you seen this tree? Hopefully you haven't because it's a lepidodendron tree and it's extinct. And allegedly, if you're seeing this tree, it means that you've fallen through some sort of rip in the fabric of time. This has prompted a ton of people to start recording videos of trees that somewhat resemble the lepidodendron tree, but really are not the lepidodendron
Those are not
tree.
lepidodendron
This right here is a pretty accurate portrayal as to what a lepidodendron tree would look like in its normal environment. So if you see one of these, you don't have to be too alarmed, you just have to wake up.
Yeah, so lepidodendron trees, if you see one, you're supposed to have fallen through a time rift. All right, so that wraps up the Cryptic Corner section of the show today. Which one of the haunted trees was your favorite? We had the Louisville tree with the witches. We had the Jersey tree with the rock and the snow melting and the burn chop. We had the Florida tree with the horrible, gruesome history. We had the California tree with just a lot of loose fabrications, but it was a wonderful oak tree with that foundation underneath it. And then, of course, we had the Angel Oak. So, actually, I'm going to do a poll, and I'm just going to use those four, because I don't think the Angel Oak really counts. I don't know if that really counts as a haunted tree, but if it'll let me do a fifth option, I'll do it. But let's see. What is your favorite tree? Okay, so we had... the Louisville Witch Tree. We had the Jersey Devil Tree. No, I'm going to call it the Jersey Devil Tree. Just call it the Devil Tree. Because if I call it the Jersey Devil Tree, people can think I'm saying it's associated with the Jersey Devil, and it's not. Then we had the Florida trees. That was, yeah, Florida Horrors tree. And then the There, I started the poll. You all can tell me which one of those trees was your favorite to cover. There will be more haunted tree segments again in the future. I don't know if we're going to do any more this year for October, but we may do one for like Arbor Day or something like that for, I don't know. We'll cover more trees. We'll expand out because there were just too many to cover for me to do a global coverage, and I'd figure this way it breaks them up into continents or countries, and as the case may be, all of these were in the U.S., none of them were in Canada or Mexico or anywhere else. So we just covered haunted trees of the U.S. It looks like people like that oak tree with the foundation. It was pretty, wasn't it? Oh. I didn't even question what type of tree the Florida tree was. It had lots of Spanish moss growing on it, though. What about the demon trees from Evil Dead? Well, they're rapists. I wouldn't want to... Yeah, we've talked about carnivorous trees before. I have a whole video on that. As a matter of fact, let me give you all a link to that, too, so you all can... Alright, so... Yeah, here's the man-eating trees. Man-eating trees for the Hive. And then, what else do we got? We got giant pre-diluvian trees. The giant trees, like the tree stumps and stuff. We have a couple videos of that. So I love trees, if you can't tell. We've got giant trees. Got 2 videos on giant trees. We got giant trees at Tartaria too, which is sort of the same and sort of different. So please watch some of my backlogged content. I appreciate it. If you haven't watched these other topics that I've covered, yeah. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. So, do you believe in haunted trees? Do you believe in cursed trees? Do you believe in any of the folklore surrounding these trees? Let me know in the comments down below. And please remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next time.